Your mom was so nice. I want you to have everything you guys need. What, baby? Mom was so nice about it. But she wasn't putting them on me. That's Yeah. Stop complaining while you're ahead. What did you do? What was it? Yeah.
Just keep in mind you got to move that boat once a week, at least like 20 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, my mama told me.
You can just move it around this bay and nobody will give a damn.
Yeah. Yeah, my mama told me.
I know a guy that's been up by the Old Galley Causeway for nearly 20 years.
Yeah.
He just moves back and forth over there.
It's a maritime law. Yeah, my mama said download all that maritime law crap and read up on it. So we're gonna be doing that. And I'll get
Well, you'll want to go on FWC and look up the stuff for the state of Florida too, because you're in state waters.
no, we're good. Thank you very much. I appreciate you so much. Take it to the water, and we will have money. It is smelling like crap. I need me to wear that. I'm not. Got you. Main person at her employee. So main person to get out of here.
Oh, that's not
Am
good.
I scaring your fish with this? Is
What's
that a
that?
true? Is that a true thing? Am I scaring the fish with my radio?
Nah, you're good.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Alright. I just remembered that someone said that. Right.
Oh, I'm stuck on something.
You wear your backpack? Where's my? Oh yeah. I understand that. I just can't write about that. it in my backpack. And
Well, that was a fun start. Well, that was fun. Literally, this whole time, since like almost immediately after I started the live, I've had two people right behind my truck preparing a little tiny boat to row out to one of the houseboats out here, one of the live aboard sailboats. Not really a houseboat, sailboat. So they've literally been right here the whole time. So that's been fun. That's been a lot of fun. So far, I had two bites immediately upon setting up, and it was weird because they were synchronized bites. Both poles went off at the same time, and they took the bait. I don't really have a lot of bait. I forgot to grab my frozen bait, and there's just been so much bait fish in the water. I didn't think it would be an issue, but I didn't catch a lot of bait with my nets. The bait's here. It's just way out there. So when I got here, it was almost sunset, and it really didn't work for me to go wading all the way up to waist deep to try to get some bait. I threw my net about a dozen times. I got 6 pieces of bait. I've used 4. Fortunately, one of those pieces of bait is a fairly decent sized mullet that I'll be able to cut up into, probably half dozen pieces or so. And I still got my net. I can always throw it again and hope. The water is just very, very warm. It's like a bathtub. And, you know, fish get hot too. So I'm starting to see some bait activity a little closer to shore than it was, but they had moved out a little bit to the cooler water when I was here. It's just one of those things. I tried the live stream where I went both Facebook and YouTube at the same time using StreamYard, but it wouldn't let me. Now, last time I checked, that shouldn't have been an issue, but apparently you've got to pay for that particular service now, which, you know, I don't really have the money to be putting into that at this point. Maybe if I had a bigger following and was actually making some money at this, maybe I probably would then. But it is what it is. If I don't have anybody in here at the 1 hour mark, I'll probably try to switch over to a TikTok. I've had a few people come in and I couldn't talk to them. So, because of all the people that were around at that particular time. Hopefully, my microphone is working. You never know. I had an instance of it not working earlier today, and then like 5 minutes later, it was working fine. Oh. There's definitely more boat activity out here tonight than there has been on any of the nights I've been here. I mean, there's usually a few boats that go by, but I've already seen a good dozen boats go by. And that's a little bit abnormal. But I guess not too much for a Friday. There are plenty of people heading out and going fishing, and there's 2 boat ramps very close to here that would put them going into the same channel. But I've also seen a lot more activity all the way on the other side of the river where people in boats are using their navigational lights, and those lights are pretty bright. And they're easily as bright, if not brighter, than the lights I'm using to light myself up out here. But they're definitely more focused, considering my lights are floodlights and theirs are not floodlights. So the fish still there. I'm fishing a little closer to the structure than I like to be because I couldn't move over to where I've been because there was a small boat there. But I did manage to back up pretty close to my spot. So I'm definitely not complaining. Although I didn't much care to have 2 people just basically at the back of my truck for a half an hour. There was a girl here listening to music earlier. I don't know if she's still over here. I don't see her. There's been more activity here as of late in this particular spot. It's been kind of odd activity here. Way more people pulling up into this little spot than there ever used to be. But this little city is about 4 times the size it was when I moved here. So and still growing fast. And with it starts to become more and more problems. Little spots like this often end up having a homeless population living in and about it. There's a park that's, a couple 100 yards, 150 yards away from here that I used to go to, and I used to take my kids to. Has nice pavilions and a bathhouse and fishing spots and a little dock. Been there forever. A little walkway that goes underneath the bridge, which is a good spot to fish. It's not really that great a spot anymore. And it's basically because of several homeless people that also have a theft problem that are living under the pavilions. The city comes through and runs them out, but I don't really approve with the way the city runs them out. Instead of hooking them up with places to stay, because we have places for them to stay, or giving them any type of assistance, they just come in, take all their stuff and dump it out, take all their camping gear if they have camp gear. I've seen them go through and bulldoze an entire lot because there were some homeless people in there, just bulldoze their stuff right out. And I'm not cool with that, because that's like everything these people have. And one of the main reasons why the homeless tend, ooh, wow, that was a good hit. Something had it. Tend to hang in this basic vicinity is because one of the few soup kitchens is just up and over the hill on the other side. And CETA, which is a church system over here, offers beds, but you have to work for them. And you have to work in their, they call it volunteering, but wow, I don't know what is going by, but it's big. I think that's somebody somebody in some type of boat. Yeah, CETA, you gotta, to stay in any of their beds, there's no drinking, there's no drugs. You gotta be in like 6 or 7 in the afternoon to get your bed, and you have to volunteer for their it's like a secondhand store, thrift store deal. They get a lot of donations from older people, so it's actually a really good thrift store to hit if you like antiques or you like higher quality cookware. Because I've gotten some really good quality cookware out of there. But some of the ways they handle their situation are verging on slavery. I had a friend that stayed with them for a little over a year and could never get anything going simply because he had to work for them. And he had to go to their church services. After going to all of the church services and all of the time working, there was no time left for him. He had to go stay with some friends to be able to get a job. and work his way out that way because he wasn't going to get out by working that way. But that's one of the main reasons why we have so many homeless problems along the coastal waterways right here, is because the soup kitchen is over here. There's one in, technically it's in Melbourne, but you go just a little bit north of here and you'll leave Palm Bay into Melbourne. And then they have another one that's a little bit further north. It's still in Melbourne, but it's actually in the older town called O'Galley. The area was the town of O'Galley. Now it's been incorporated by Melbourne. There goes the dark pole jiggling again. I think that might be a crab. The city of Palm Bay came through. I guess this was about 2 years ago. There's a section down a road called Babcock that is mostly owned by this one church. I don't remember the name of the church. But on one side is a whole bunch of, businesses, fast food, a mini theme park that really sucks. On the other side is this big patch of woods, and the church will allow people to live in the woods behind it as long as they don't have a fire. No fires are allowed. Well, the city in Palm Bay and all its wisdom took the mayor, which we have a different mayor now, but took the mayor and took him over there with a police escort to show him how many homeless were back there. Yeah, I mean, there was probably a good 60 people that lived back there. It was a fairly decent community, enough so that I actually knew a few people that worked for me periodically that lived out there sometimes. And 2 weeks after the mayor got his tour, he had code enforcement come in and tell the church, you're not allowed to have people just living out there. And the church had to run them off, which basically they just moved onto the private property next door. 2 weeks after that, he had the city go in with the police and go on the church's property first to run off anybody else that was left there, and then to go into the adjacent property, and this was without permission from the owner. And they arrested everybody that was on that property for trespassing, took all of their stuff and dumped it out, dumped all their food out, sleeping bags, and then had a crew come in and basically stack all their stuff up to the road, and then have the garbage man come and pick it all up, all within like a 2-day period. All their stuff was gone. But by the time they got out of jail, it was all gone. And most of the people were, released 72 hours. They didn't want to press charges. But that's really not a good way to deal with the homeless. I don't agree with that. That's kind of crappy. One of the things that's been going on here lately is people that have trucks that are similar to mine will pull over into spots like this, because there's a bunch of spots all up and down the intercoastal right here where you can pull over, and there's a wood clearing that you can reach the water. Most of them you can either pull your truck in sideways, or you can back it up, or you can even back it down around whatever vegetation is there, and they'll find a spot, and that's where where they sleep. They work during the day and they go to that spot at night and sleep and then go back to work. About 90% sure that the one SUV that is always here is that. And the spot where I had been fishing last summer there was a truck that was pulled into one of those spots that it broke down. But that guy had generators and a color TV and a little cam. And it was only, maybe 20 feet off the road, which, you have lights and a TV and that type of stuff, even if it was in a little patch of the woods. You're going to notice. But his truck he had was broke down. And he was just basically using the truck for storage, and he'd ride his bike a few miles south every day to work where he was working. He was working at a little restaurant. But yeah, the county came by and got him for illegal camping. They gave him, I think, 72 hours to clear out, and he couldn't really get all of his stuff, and the truck didn't run. He couldn't afford to have it run. So, not necessarily something everybody can fix when their truck breaks down. Not everybody has the mechanical knowledge to do it. And sometimes, even if they had the mechanical knowledge, they might not have the tools, the parts, the money for the parts, or any number of problems that could be going on. All right, fish on. Think. Yep, there's fish there. It doesn't feel like it's a very big fish. Well, that's definitely a fish. And he's definitely trying to get me tangled up. All right. That is the smallest catfish. All right, one small catfish. I'll have to deal with him in a second. I gotta deal with this pole because it kept getting activity. Might not have any bait left on there. No, that's still bait. It's all chewed up. That'll work. A lesson for anybody who's new at fishing. Check your drag. Make sure that's loose enough that you can pull it out, but tight enough that they don't just run away with your line. One thing this river is very good at doing. is making sure that I catch at least one catfish. A lot of people I know get really upset about the catfish. Really upset because there's so many better things you can catch in this river other than a catfish, so they get really mad. Because sometimes all you'll do is sit down here and catch catfish after catfish after catfish. I just tell them, be happy that you're catching fish, because I know plenty of people, that's all they do is fish for catfish. There's many parts of this country that's what you go fishing for, is catfish. These hard-headed cats can be annoying, though, because sometimes you'll get into like a nest of them. That's all you do is catch catfish after catfish. And when you're hoping for like a drum or something else along those lines, or you're a sports fisherman and you're hoping for a tarpon or a snook, then you can kind of get annoying because they eat up all your bait. Well, I think that was the last piece of small bait I got. Oh, nope, I got one more small piece of bait. Or I got to start cutting up that mullet. I'm only running 2 poles tonight. If I had remembered to bring my cut bait with me, my frozen bait, I probably would have run all 4. But I forgot it. And bait can go pretty fast. This spot in particular seems to use more bait than most, but not quite catch as many. I think it's because there's a pretty high amount of crabs in this bay. I need to get down here with my John boat and go out and drop my crab traps and let them soak for 24 hours or so. Of course, I gotta actually have enough frozen bait to fill those, because, well, once you run out of bait, the crabs always seem to manage to find their way out. But that's on my to-do list soon. I have a few friends that have been investing heavily in custom built boats lately. Nothing, terribly fancy, other than the fact that they dropped an obscene amount of money building a basic boat. But the name of the game seems to be to pick up a 14-foot boat, usually metal, and convert it into basically a bass boat. And I'm watching these guys drop 8, 10 grand and more on these custom builds where they have fancy lights, all kinds of stuff. A good outboard motor costs you 6 grand now, so most of them are picking something up in the 3 grand, 4 grand area. Well, that's almost half the money. Some of them are completely decking them out where you don't even sit in the boat. It's decked. I don't know if I like that or not. I'd have to go out on one and see how it feels. It used to be you deck the front, you put in a chair, a removable chair in the front and a removable chair in the back. You made sure you had your navigation lights. And if you could, you'd build an interior light so that you can see down in the boat. These guys are getting fancy with the LEDs, these new LED strips. Some of them are really nice, but I haven't been out on one. Nobody seems to actually ever get done. Which is kind of weird because you're going to spend all that money building a boat. I'm going to want to use that boat. They never seem to finish their build. It's almost like the hobby became building the boat. See, I'm getting a decent amount of activity, but they're either taking the bait or only taking part of the boat bait every time. Sit there and chew on it. There we go. There we go. Ah, lame. Now this one's got a bigger hook on it. That was a good hit. I bet you he just spit it out. Yep. Still got the same piece of bait. Whatever that was, when it discovered there was something on it, they just spit it out. That was a decent hit, though. Thought for sure I have something. Oh, it's along the lines of the hit I got from the tarpon the other night. There was no jumping out there. That's one of the things about the tarpon. They jump. Big catfish will hit that way. Big drum will hit that way too. I've been hoping to catch a nice drum or redfish in here. The other morning when I was here in the morning, I could see the redfish swimming through in schools. So I know they're here. Could be I keep getting a crab on that and then something just came along and took the crab, which a drum would. Of course, the crab would hold on. You'd get something like what I just had. I'm gonna say though, it's kind of hot out here. It was supposed to rain. It was supposed to start raining at 3, and then when I rechecked at like 4 because we weren't getting any rain, they were saying it was going to rain at around 7. And around 7, we weren't getting any rain. I checked and said we're going to get rain at 9. He's only got no rain. It's very hot. So for nighttime, it's probably about 82. Still got another 6 weeks or so of really hot. It is just about time for me to start my tomato plants. That's a fish on. Oh, he jumped. Is he still there? Yes, he is. Oh, he let go. That was either a tarpon or a ladyfish. All right, so it's going to be one of those nights, huh? Okay. That one was jumping. Guess it's time to bust out with the cut bait. Got the one fish left. Oh, it'd be nice if I caught a ladyfish. They make great bait. I mean, like, superb bait. Ladyfish is what I was running when I lost my best pole. It's also what I was running not the last time I caught a tarpon, not the one I caught the other day, but the one I caught a few years ago that gave me a good fight. It gave me a real good fight. That's right before I decided I was going to start doing these fishing live streams. So actually, that particular night was part of the reason why I decided to start doing fishing live streams so I could show people some of these fish that I'm catching. Because you know how it is. Oh my God, I think whatever that was broke the line. That's twice tonight. Oh, okay. That's interesting because my my drag was set good. It cut my line. Oh, now that kind of sucked. I think I'm just going to pull out a different pole. I'll rig that one as I can because that's very interesting that cut that line. All right. It's a fairly large piece of fish for this pole. All right, back out in the same spot. All right. Well, now, definitely qualifies as interesting. Oh, Jesus, really? What the hell is going on over there? Well, still got bait. Well, this is going to be an interesting night. Oh, man. Not even close. I don't know why I do that with this pole a lot. All right, try that again. Check my drag. It's good. Now, see, this pole doesn't have line quite as heavy on it as that pole. So it's got 15 pound. The white one I had right here had 15 pound. This one's got 20 pound. The way things have been going, I think I need to bring my biggest pole out of retirement and put some super heavy duty line on it and bring it out here, because I've had a lot of break offs here, like a lot. A lot more than I normally would in a season, like in the whole season. Almost out of weights again. Running out of leaders, running out of hooks. And I just bought a new round of them not 3 weeks ago. The thing is, some of these leaders and stuff I'd had for years. And I went through a lot of them in a very short period of time. Said way more than I normally would. And it's been since I switched to fishing to this spot that I started going through tackle a lot faster than I used to. Of course, there are other factors like the fact that I'm not allowed to use stainless steel hooks anymore. That's increased the mortality of my hooks. But I've had a lot of snap offs here where I just have a fish on and he just snaps it. And just like that one that just happened, it's been like almost instantly that they snap it off. That's definitely been a thing this year. And then now, all of a sudden, it's still. Several hits in a row, and then it stops. I said something, so, you know. Something I've always wanted to do is to get some type of waterproof camera out there so I could see what's going on. But you know what would happen is I'd lose the camera. And those cameras are expensive. Oh, one guy that was putting a GoPro in his crab traps so he could see what goes on in his crab traps. Oh, a lot more goes on in a crab trap than you would realize. Well, something's playing with it. This seems to be the spot tonight. The boat that I see out here, that's the nice double-hulled seagoing catamaran, is moved. He's way closer to me now than he normally is. Oh, I just heard something breach the water. See, and that's another thing that I keep doing is I keep fishing at pretty much all the wrong times out here. I'm fishing either a low tide or outgoing tide, but toward the end of the outgoing tide, into the slack tide. Just because I can get out here in the evenings. That's kind of how the tides have been. It'll rotate where for too long because it's not exactly 6 hours between each tide. So because there's a slight difference, it won't always be this way. Also, don't have the right moon phase. Fishing on a full moon or near full moon is better than on a dark moon. And I'm moving into that new moon phase. Not sure exactly where it is, but the moon's been rising like in the early morning. So I haven't really been seeing much of it anyway. Hey, Carol. I was wondering who was here. I don't know. It's been about a shark. It's been kind of weird. I just got cut off like immediately on one of my poles, and I had another one that was definitely aerial, either a tarpon or a ladyfish. I think it was a ladyfish. It didn't seem like a tarpon. If it was a very small tarpon. Of course, ladyfish make really good bait for tarpon. I don't have a pole really big enough to do anything but use it as cut bait. Here comes another boat coming in. And quite a lot of them tonight. It was really weird when I was setting up here tonight. There were significantly more people than normal, and one or several people just hanging at the back of my truck, which I didn't really care for. Should be able to see that boat coming on screen about now. Lower that down a little. Yeah. That movement right there, that's a boat. Somebody's fishing boat. I haven't quite figured out how I can live stream fishing from my boat. I know people do it, but I really need to see what type of rigs they're using to hold their phones, because I know they're using their phones like I do. Excuse me. The humidity is getting to me. It's very humid tonight. I've seen a few people doing it from a kayak, live streaming from a kayak. Yeah, I am not going to be one of those people out there in a kayak fishing. This river gets way too rough, and there are fish in this river that can pull you right off a kayak. So no thanks. There are fish in this river that can pull you out of a John boat. But I'll take my chances on a John boat versus a kayak. The John boat needs some work. It's got some hull damage that needs to be dealt with. Pretty good hull damage too. The guy gave it to me, claimed it's only ever been used as a rowboat, but the type of damage that's done on the front could only happen if you came in at speed well above what you can get by rowing, and hit a dock. And then there's other damage that would be if you came in at speed and ran to the shore up on a beach. Like if you were running like a 10 horsepower motor and you came in at top speed. One of the main struts that go across the boat is cracked from that impact and needs to be welded. And I gotta go track down a buddy of mine that is an expert at welding aluminum. and have him weld it because it's old aluminum. I found the manufacturing date on the boat. It's 1967. Like I said, the former owner says it was only ever used as a rowboat. And for me to put a motor on it, I've got to get a title. And apparently, it never had a title. But boats that old not having a title isn't abnormal. The abnormal part is that it's obviously been used with a motor on it. But it wasn't always where you had to have a title to register it to put a motor on it. Back in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s, you could put a motor on it as long as it wasn't above a 10 horsepower motor, which is what those are rated for, nothing more than a 10 horsepower, and cruise these waterways without having to register anything. They changed the laws. They've changed the laws several times. One, any vessel that has a motor on it, and at first it was an outboard motor or an inboard, and now it also includes trolling motors. They did that about 20 years ago. They added and electric motors because everybody that used to run around with the little 10 horsepower kickers that couldn't figure out how to get a title on their 50 and 60-year-old boats put a trolling motor on it when fishing anyway. And then it was no sailboats unless it had a motor on it. Had to. And now it's any boat over 16 feet or any boat with any type of motor. And there's a bit of a gray area going on there now because the kayaks, there are a lot of kayaks out there that have motors. Well, electric motors, you can buy these little kits and everything. And I see people running around out there, and kayaks aren't registered. Nobody registers a kayak. And I think that's probably going to end up being problematic for some people. You never know. You know, the way the laws stand right now, no motors of any kind. But I'm also 100% sure they're not allowing you to register kayaks. So, yeah. Maybe there's something in that loophole I don't know. Thanks, Carol. I appreciate it. There's this one dock on the other side that's got two lights on that dock, and then two more lights on that dock. And two of them are brighter than the others, and they switch on which ones are bright. Two of them will be bright one night, and then the other two will be bright, and back and forth. But it basically looks like two cars with their headlights, like old style cars with their headlights pointing this way. The thing is, the way they're set up, you can see every time somebody walks in front of those lights, they flash at you. Somebody's over there on that dock. Well, at least I caught something. One tiny catfish. This spot's such a weird enigma. I gotta get a different reel for my big pole and maybe special make myself a new sand spike that's tall enough for it. No, this isn't where the gators are. There are entirely too many alligators over there right now for me to be fishing. Maybe this winter I'll go over there when there's not so many alligators hanging around and do some night fishing. I can do day fishing over there too, but there also could be a significant amount of people going in and out. So that's not necessarily a good thing. Oh. I guess I should check them since both of them have had action since I put them out there. See if they still have any bait. Yeah, this one's definitely got a big chunk of bait still. I'm gonna do a little rotation on the poles. Now, where all the alligators were that I was night fishing that one night, that's Camp Holly. It's on the St. Johns River. It's freshwater. This is technically it's brackish, and it's the Indian River Lagoon. Oh yeah, I definitely got low tide because it's gone way down since I first got here. That is so not where I wanted that to go. See, to the right of me, there is an old pier that, the poles are still there. The pier isn't. One of the storms a good while back took it out, and the structure's good for the fish, but the fish that like to hang out over there will pull you into the structure, snap you off. And that's what that tarpon kept doing. He kept going forth. It was a small miracle that I managed to get him, because one of those times he ran and I had to go out of frame, and then I came back with the fish. That he ran me back and forth around this one pole several times, trying to cut me off. I know that's there. That's their way to escape if they get hooked. All right, now I've got the bigger pole, exactly where it was I hooked that tarpon. And I've been getting a decent amount of activity over there, so All right, we're all set again. I was getting a lot of hits earlier. Ran me through most of my bait. I'm only got the one decent sized mullet that I'm using as cut bait left. All my small bait's gone. And since I switched to cut bait, I'm not getting quite as much activity as I did with live bait. Well, that's okay. Fresh mullet cut bait works pretty good. Frozen works okay. I've been using a lot of frozen. Up until like a couple trips ago. And because there was just so much bait fish in the water, I just started catching fresh bait. That tarpon I caught on a live mullet, real small one too, only like maybe 2.5 inches. You know, with one that size, I really kind of expected to get like a flounder because they come up in here in the summer, or a snook or a trout. But I caught a very small whiting on one, and then I turned around and I caught that tarpon on another one, and multiple catfish, and a stingray, all on live bait, which is a little bit on the abnormal side. This fall, I'll work on that boat when it's cool enough. Hopefully, I'll have it operational by next year, but I don't know if I'll be able to have a motor on it. However, with a few modifications and a little bit of work, I can turn it into a small sailing boat, which would allow me to get out onto the islands with it in gear. Of course, I need to completely outfit the boat. You got to have your life jackets. You got to have your seat cushions that activate or also equal being able to uh, throw. They're life preservers that you can throw, but they're also seat cushions. I had some of those. I don't know if I still do, and it's been a good while since I've been doing that type of stuff. And those seat cushions ran like $20 last time I bought one. Everything's like triple the price now. But you gotta have ones that are approved by the Coast Guard, which means that's one of them things that I can't just make myself. I can make a lot of things myself, but certain things you just ain't gonna get away with it. That's one of them. And the life jackets is another. And life jackets are pretty expensive. I have some, but I don't know if they're still any good or what type of condition they're in. They've been in a steel cabinet behind my shed for like 9 years. So they might just be dry rotted or any number of problems. So I got to check those out. I do got my anchors. I still got all of my anchors from when I did this type of stuff in a small boat before. I need to buy new rope. I'll need to buy new cleats. And I'm going to look because I've got two mast systems. One is for a sailboat that I have presently that isn't really good for that type of stuff. It's not a utility boat, it's a racing boat. Now I've got another mast system that I used to use on that for when I didn't want to go fast. I just wanted to, have a nice cruise. And I think that smaller system is what I'm going to pull out and see if I can't mount it to that John boat and turn it into a sailing John boat. I'll have to make some things. I'll have to make 2 drop keels, one for either side. They're called lee boards. And I'll have to make a rudder. But that's all stuff I can make myself. I might have to buy a few parts at like a hardware store. I'll have to get that boat into the backyard, strip the paint that's on it now off, which is very, very old. Most of the paint on the inside is gone. Most of the paint on the bottom is gone. There's paint on the sides, and it's silvery paint. And the original maker's logo is still there, kinda. It sucks having to use the dark poles. The white spots on them that are reflective is now a reflective tape instead of white, and it's supposed to do better, and it really doesn't seem to be showing up any better. I think I wasted my $4. But I did take a recommendation of another YouTube fisherman that fishes at night, but he wraps his entire poles with similar tape, and he also runs black lights, and he's got a much fancier system than I do. They show up okay. I mean, it's better on the black pole. The dark blue pole that you can barely see, well, it didn't really show up well on that pole. And it had been dark blue and white and showed up just about as well as it's presently showing up. Getting a little bit of activity on that pole right now, too. Yep, come this winter, I'm going to do some work on that boat, see what I can do with it. Be nice if I can get a title. I talked to the state, and they want paperwork I can't get. They do that to people. And they do that a lot. They did that a lot to just get rid of the older boats on the water, is what a lot of it comes down to. The thing is, I can take that boat to another state and register it without much of a problem. Like, I can take it to Texas and just walk in with a picture of it and say, hey, this is what I got. And then it'll be like, oh, okay. And register it. But not in Florida. Florida, they make you jump through a lot of loopholes. And they like to light those loopholes on fire periodically. And they change the goal. About every 10 years, they completely rewrite everything. And they just did that last year. One of the big 10-year write-ups. So, like, most of the size of the fish changed. And then, like, it's hard to make it through an entire year without them changing the rules on top of all of that. So you've got to constantly go online and read. They used to do printouts, but because they're changing the rules faster than they can print them out. Like, just 6 months ago, they decided that you're not allowed to keep any redfish in this river. They closed redfish in the Indian Atlantic River, or the Indian River, and the Atlantic Ocean right adjacent to us. All redfish are closed. And they didn't say for a particular time. Now, this is after a decade of us having to, we can only keep them in a slot. And the slot kept changing, which is very annoying. And now they just closed it. And the reason is the people that come out and they do their surveys for the fish and they drag the nets and do all the things we're not allowed to do, sample the fish, said that they didn't catch any redfish at all, so there are no redfish in this river. Which, there's plenty of redfish in this river. Not like it used to be because of the pollution. And how they've utterly decimated the one of our keystone species here was the mangroves. There used to be vast amounts of mangrove swamp here, and most of it's gone. There's little patches here and there. There's a good sized patch over by Sebastian Inlet. Not by the inlet itself, but a little state park over there that's relatively close to it. There's still some actual real mangrove forest, but we're only talking a few acres. It's enough that you can hike out into it and show the kids and, you know, pay attention to the tides. I don't want to go out there and then have the tide come back in and get stuck out there. And I did that a couple of years ago. Took the kids down there. We hiked out and did some fishing, and I cooked them some food out there. Somewhere way back in my videos or some videos of me doing that. And keep the kids out of it and everything, just kind of show what was going on. That was over by the inlet. I'm hearing something going after the mullet way, way off to my left. And it seems that the bait fish have moved over into that corner because there's more light over there. Now there's a dock over here, not that far from me. I've been meaning to find out some information as to whether or not I can go out on it. Got a couple boats tied to it. It has no lights on that dock at all, and that's kind of against the law. There's supposed to be a couple lights on the end so that people that are boating don't hit the dock. But, I need to find out whether or not I'm even allowed to go out on it. I drove past it and I haven't seen any no trespassing signs or private property signs or anything like that. But driving past it and walking over and actually taking a look is two different things. Yeah, there's something in here feeding on the mullet. Off to my left a good ways. See, without the moon, fish will tend to go to where the light is. Oh, that's a definite thing. They like the light at night. Smaller bait fish will come in because of the bugs, but not the mullet. Mullet don't eat bugs, but they'll still hang out near it too because light gives them safety. But then tarpon and other things like to hang out there because that's where the bait fish are. And there's a lot more light over there than over here. Now, during the full moon, when it was lighting up this bay, there was a lot more action over that way on the other side of the palm trees. And I've been wanting to set up and fish over there because there's a good amount of scattered light through that area because of the road, the lights on the road leading up to the bridge. But literally every time I pull up here, there's a car parked there. So I haven't been able to set up or even figure out if I can set up over there. Because by the time they leave, it's dark. Although I've been over there, I'm not sure I can actually set up properly over there with putting in my sand spikes and everything. There's also some concrete and stuff over there because that's where that pier used to be. So the base foundation for the pier is still over there. There is, or was, I haven't heard any in a couple of years, talk by our city council to fill about half of this bay in and build like a touristy spot with tourist like shops and have a boardwalk and stuff. And that's not necessarily a good thing. This road section right here already crosses the bay because there's another section on the other side, and they kind of built almost all the way across the bay and then have a little bridge. That's literally where I'm standing. It was where the palm trees are just out of sight here. Turned and it went that way and went up into a creek. There's more bay over there, but they condensed it down to basically a flat bridge. It's not even a. Whoa! All right. Ooh. Woo! It's something good. Ooh. I can see the water glowing out there. It's whatever this is. All right. He's going back and forth over that area where the pylons are. Bad fish. Oh. Oh, I think I got a shark. All right, Carol. You wanted to see me catch a shark. There you go. I caught a shark. Oh, nice little shark, too. Oh, good fight. A real good fight. Dude, it's taking out all my stuff. I can't unhook you. If you're still fighting, man. All right, I might have to let you just keep that hook, huh? All right. All right. I get you off my pole. Yeah, this guy's got a hook on both sides of his mouth. And it's still just knocking everything over. Ooh. Seriously, calm your ass down. All right, we got a little male bull shark. He's got a hook on one side and a hook on the other. One's mine. This guy broke somebody off very recently. See if I can get that hook out. Come on. Sharks are some tough fish. I'll tell you what. All right, that's one hook. Let's get that other hook out, huh? You know, let me get that other hook out. No biting. Get that hook. I think I got that hook. All right. I lost that second hook, but I got it out. All right. There we go. Another bull shark. She is approximately 22 inches. I lost my tape measure, so I'm kind of guessing tonight. That was a good fight. Oh, real good fight. I got to pick up everything in the back of by the back of my truck because I was having a heyday knocking all my stuff around. Stuff all over the place now. Oh, that's a pretty good hook that somebody had in him. The juvenile male bull shark. You can tell by the bottom fins. Females' fins don't have claspers. The males do. Oh man, he got my lighter wet. Must have tired him out good because he's just kind of sitting here in the shallow water and not leaving, which is abnormal for these guys. Come on now. There you go. No, don't come back toward me. Go on now. There it goes. There you go. Oh, there you go, Carol. You wanted to see me catch a shark? There you go. Oh. Sorry about that glitch. Every time I have to message somebody, it signs me off of here for a second while I'm doing it. Kind of annoying. I guess I'll bait up and get a pole out. That's 3 sharks I've caught this year. I don't think I would have caught that shark had I not had the leader I have on this particular pole on this pole. Oh, yeah, I got to put a new hook on. That's right. All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's still sharp. Now, I'm not specifically targeting any particular species. I'm just fishing on the bottom. All right. Well, I guess I better check the other pole. Traffic tonight. Got one coming in and one going out. Something's after the mullet off to the left of me. It is hot out here. So that's 2 bull sharks I've caught in this inlet. Well, bay. Well, that was a hit. I guess I better check that pole. I've never caught a shark on this blue pole, I don't think, till tonight. This used to be my smaller, the two poles I've worked with for a long, long time. Oh man, I think I just caught on something. There's something out there that I keep catching on. No, bait's still there. Get back out there. Yeah, the overall activity is slowed. I don't know what time it is. Well, I'm dealing with pretty low tide here. I meant to check exactly what the tides were before I came out here and forgot. You get busy getting things ready instead of checking some of the things. But I know it's been low tide and outgoing tide when I get here for a little while now. I had checked the tides the other day and it was putting high tide. I think it was like 5:30 in the morning, which would put low tide, 11:30 ish. And you got like 1 hour in there with the low tide where it's just slack. There's barely any movement in the water. And you get the same thing during what's called slack high tide. But slack low tide is generally considered a bad time to fish. Now, I hope I got some decent footage of the shark. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look. Figure it's probably around 10. And there's a lot of times there's a bite around 10 o'clock. I do believe I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream. One catfish and one shark. Not a lot, but it's not bad. Y'all have a great day.